Merry meet guys, and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. My name is Houston, and I'm your Wednesday host. This week, week 16, I believe, we are talking about scrying. And last year, we talked about a different divination topic for each person. And I talked about crystal ball gazing or crystal ball scrying. And I think I want to do that more justice. So I want to talk about crystal scrying in this. Scrying is a wide term. You can scry with any object. Um, you can scry without using an object at all. Scrying is a form of divination that puts one into a trance state of mind, state of consciousness, where you are able to perceive images, sounds, impressions of what you are needing advice on. If you're scrying for a question, or your future, or if you're scrying into the past, or for someone else, you are more openly able to receive when you're in that state of consciousness, and scrying can help you achieve that. It's one of the many ways to use many types of divination you can use to help gain insight. Um, so when I talked about it at length in last year's video or last season's video about crystal ball gazing, um, I do have a lot of them, and I want to show you that. I want to show them to you today because I'm proud of my collection, and also I want to show you and tell you about some other means if you can't buy or can't find a crystal in. We'll go on with that. So actually, my first one was this little guy. He comes with a stand. I bought him when I was in high school at a metaphysical shop. There are some inclusions, like little, you can't see it, of course. There are like some little bubbles in there. Oh, you can see that, kind of, with my head upside down. Um, he comes with a stand. I bought him from a little metaphysical shop at the flea market back home. Um, when I first started this, when I first started my divination path, I started out with cards and candle scrying, and I forgot what the term is called. I have it in Book of Shadows. When you light a candle in your hand and have a bowl of water or wax beside you that's cool, and you light a candle thinking of a question, let it burn for a little while, and drip the hot wax and read the signs and the impressions in there. And I started out with that, the 3 candle scrying method, which is asking a question, watching how the candle flames move, and tarot, and I started my work with crystal ball gazing and my working on my clairvoyant abilities. Um, these guys are fantastic. Um, I love this one. I remember when one of the first stories, or not well, it's going to be a story. One of the first instances that I had a successful scrying session that I actually saw something um, in the crystal. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's more in your mind, and sometimes you hear things or you feel things instead of actually seeing. So when you start, or when you want to learn to crystal ball gaze or scry in general, don't um, give up if your first couple times you don't see anything. That's one thing I had to do. The first couple times I did not see anything at all. It took me, if not months, to of doing it repeatedly. Right before I go to bed, if I remembered, to get anything. And it wouldn't be a singular topic. I know this one time when I did get something, um, I did have a topic in mind I wanted to know more about. Um, a friend of mine, we were on winter vacation, and she went up to see her dad, and she was part of the group that I was with that practiced, and I wanted to know if I could get a lock, kind of like a lock in on her. And I know some people may ethically think that was wrong of me to do, um, but I did it anyway. This just me, um, and you can read me for filth. I really don't care. I'm just telling you my story, and I wanted to see how she was doing. So I focused my intent into the crystal ball, and I held it, had my room darkened with candles, not in the crystal ball sight, and all of a sudden, um, I saw it looked like the globe went dark, and I saw white specks flying across, the screen in one direction, and I was like, white specks. Um, and then it picked up and it went another direction, and I was like, oh, it looks like snow. And I was like, okay, well, I guess that kind of makes sense if I'm, scrying for her, because she went up to one of the northern states to visit family, and I was like, well, that makes sense. Maybe they have a snowstorm right now. And so I knew she wasn't going to get my text because she told me that they didn't really have signal. But I sent a text anyway. I was like, is it snowing right now? Um, and when I got a response back, I think a day or two later when she went into town, she's like, yeah, when you texted me, we had not a really bad snowstorm, but we had a snowstorm. I was like, that's cool. That's validation that I got something. Another one, there's a, this is kind of like, it's kind of like a how-to, but it's a ramble video at the same time, so please stay with me. How I scry with these guys is I talked about it. I talked about it a little bit last week's video about my mugwort bath that I give them, that I need to do. I don't do it on any particular moon phase, moon cycle, or whatever. I just, when I feel that I need the practice or need the crystal ball instead of my tarot cards or oracle cards or intuition, I go give it a mugwort bath. And these guys do need them. They do feel a little bit dirty. But when I start mine, I get my session ready by getting the ball, either this one or I actually use my larger one. This one my partner found. My partner got for me. It's pure quartz. I believe it's pure quartz. It might not be, but that has not dawned to the effectiveness of the crystal. This one is definitely dirty. He got me this one, and he has one. He actually got him for a steal. I say for a steal. He did not steal them. One of the piercing shops where I got my ears done and I had my lip done. Was this side? Yeah, this side. Lip done. I think if you remember my old videos, I did have a lip piercing. But where I got that done, and I had a this done, which I took out. That was too fucking painful. But that's the point. They had a section of their store that had like swords and knives, kind of cool house decorations and stuff, and there were the two of these same size sitting on a shelf side by side. And he asked our piercer, he's like, how much are those? Because one came with a stand. I think one came with a stand. Maybe not. No, neither of them came with a stand. Because I'm using my partner's singing bowl stand as the stand for this. He's like, how much are those? My boyfriend really like them, one of them. And she was like, I'll sell them to you for $10 a piece. He's like, are you for real? She's like, yeah, I don't really know how much they are, but if you want them I'll give them both to you for 20. And he's like, I got them. I'll take them. That's kind of how we got them. It's awesome. I think that, awesome. And I know this guy, she, is amazing. Don't really have a lot of stories that I can say of this guy, but definitely works. So back to how I get to scrying is I have this guy, usually this guy, if I'm doing a formal crystal ball session, usually have that guy on my altar, and I have my room darkened, and I have I have purple LED lights. I either have them on, or I know that's not really pagan-y, but instead of having candle lights, I like to do a soft like LED light. Something that doesn't reflect and divert my gaze. Or I'll have candles behind me. So I have a dresser behind me, and there'll be candles on that dresser to light up the room a little bit so I can see. But I will not have candles directly beside the crystal or in front of my vision, because it will, it blocks. For me, it blocks. It might help other people, but for me, I get distracted with the candle flame, the brightness of the candle flame, and I can't focus and see into the crystal. Um, and so what I do is I get into a meditative state. I calm myself, I ground, I do breathing exercises to calm down and to kind of cleanse my body, open up my chakras to get ready for a crystal viewing session. And when I'm ready, I open my eyes and I look at the crystal. And usually at this time, I can only see the vague outline of the crystal, and I can see like the hollowness of the inside against the craziness that is my altar. And instead of looking at the crystal, I am looking through the crystal. So that's a very good tip. And you don't want to stare. You can blink. There's a lot of books and things out there that says you want to soften your gaze and try not to blink. No, you can blink and still hold and get images. You don't need to stare with intense concentrate. Like, you don't need to concentrate so much on staring as to gazing, and gazing softly through or in front of the object. Because if you stare at the object, you'll see the surface, and it may have... Oh, I'm forgetting one of my crystal balls. It's fine. There's always a reason for everything. It may have inclusions, or it may have cracks or whatever through it, or bubbles, and that may distract you. Or that may do the opposite and send you into the trance. And then you would go further into it, and then you would, bring up images, or it would bring up images, help you bring up images to the trance site. To the trance state, not trance site. I'm sorry. So that's how I do it. And it's almost very dreamlike when I am gazing through. It's not... It does take practice. I'm not saying that I'm naturally gifted at it, because I'm not. There's some times where I can't get anything out of it. Can't focus my mind or calm my mind enough to see anything out of the crystal ball. And then there are some times where I don't even need a crystal ball, and I can scry using a crystal in my pocket or the wall to see what I need to see. I was going to continue telling you that later, but you don't have to use... My opinion. I don't feel that you have to use a ball per se. You could use... I know Natalie has talked about the witch's mirror, which I'm not going to talk about. I do have one. I made one. It's beautiful. And it is currently somewhere in my... Oh, I see it. Somewhere in my bookcase. It's beautiful. I made it at a Samhain camp out that we had 2 years ago. I love it. It's out of an old picture frame. I spray painted it and added glitter, and it looks like the nebula and the cosmos inside. It's beautiful. You can use a palm stone, which I have a blue gold stone, which I love blue gold stone. I love gold stone. I think it's pretty, even though it's not really... It's man-made, but I still think it's pretty. You can use a little crystal. This one you can't really see. It's a clear quartz cluster. It has a flat face on this side, so I can scry and see the 3-dimension, almost like a mirror inside. It's really cool. This one stays on my altar. This is kind of like my wisdom crystal, and that's why I kind of have it with me today, so I can share with you my knowledge, because this is a topic that I absolutely love, is divination. So 13 minutes in, not bad. So let me continue. And it doesn't have to be clear quartz. It can be... hold on. It can be glass. This is a glass crystal ball. It is dirty, yes. I got this actually for a photo project when I was in college. And for the others of you who don't know, I was a photography major. I do have a photography business. And we were doing how to light glass. And I thought, why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get a glass crystal ball that has a flat... has a flat stand, so it sits, on any table or any surface. I've done successful readings with glass. It doesn't have to be clear quartz. I got this guy. I have not used it yet. It's glass too. It's not obsidian. At least I don't think it is. It feels like glass. Yeah. Sorry. I got this guy through Wish.com. It's like $3. And I also got this guy through Wish. This was supposed to be a purple crystal, like an amethyst, they say, and it came in as blue. So it's just dyed quartz or dyed glass. I have not used either of these to scry with, but they are on. They have their own stands, and they are on my ancestor altar or my deity altar, my everything altar at the moment. Um, I have multiple altars around the house, and I should share them with you guys if you're interested in seeing. Um, and then I also have this guy, which I have not used for scrying. This is actually dedicated to Archangel Michael. I have an altar set up for him. I dedicated this tiger's eye to him, and this can be used for scrying. I have not had a lot of um, positive outcomes with, or positive outcomes. That sounds like I had negative outcomes. I haven't had any luck. There you go. There goes the word. I haven't had any luck with using Tiger's Eye for scrying, but I have heard of people, and mostly I've only heard of them locally. They can use Tiger's Eye. They use the chatoyancy, which is the shine in the crystal. Haha, I used a big word. Chatoyancy in the crystal to get them into an altered state of mind and to see, what they need to see. So, another thing you can do with scrying, and I'm not going to touch on water scrying or fire scrying or anything like that, but I did want to touch on scrying without a tool. Crystals and things can be nice, but there are sometimes when you don't have them on you or they're not easily accessible. I even have, which I may have lost it. Just remembered. I don't know where it's at. A little kid came into the shop I work at with his parent, of course. I work at a smoke shop. For those of you who don't know, came with a parent. We have a crystal section, and his dad bought him a new piece of fluorite slab, a new crystal form. He likes stones, and he bought his daughter a Lemurian quartz. Not really important, but after his dad bought him the slab, he walked up to me. I think this kid was maybe like 3 or 4 years old, and he pulled out of his pocket a little small black. It looks, wrong one. It's like pocket size of this, just like this. It's a black stone. It has to be like a bigger glass marble or something. And it was so cute. And I was like, I asked his dad, "Are you sure I can have this?" And he's like, "Yeah, if he's giving it to you, take it." And so I thanked him, and I've used that on occasion to scry, especially if I'm at work or just to, or if I'm out and about, if I have it in my pocket. That's pocket size. But there are sometimes when you don't have a crystal available, and there are things you can use that are a little bit like everywhere. They are everywhere. Like I said earlier, you can scry using a wall. If the wall has a pattern to it, that kind of helps. If you blur your vision and soft gaze into the pattern, you'll be able to see things more clearly and feel things more clearly in your mind's eye. You can scry while staring at the floor, like if you're sitting in a chair, because I wouldn't recommend it standing up. You're sitting in a chair and you're secure and you're just gazing down at the floor like at an angle, like straight down. If you're gazing down at the floor like at an angle and just gazing, you could get your answers and do some deep meditation and scry that way. Trying to think of anything else. It's going to be a touchy subject. In one of the books I have, and I have not done it because I don't have a TV that can produce this, I just gave it away. One of the books I have by Christopher Penczak. It's called City Magic or Urban Magic. It's City Magic. City Magic. He talks about scrying with the white noise of a TV, which sounds amazing. But my TV does not produce white noise. It doesn't have that channel. It's just all blue. I have one of those new HD digital TVs now. My old one did, and I still have my old one. I could plug it up and stare at it if I wanted to. But looking at the white noise and going into a trance that way was one way he talked about, and I thought it was kind of cool. I've never got to experiment with it. If you guys have got to experiment with it and you want to share, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear any of your opinions on scrying, and hopefully I didn't say anything like I did last time, and I apologize again for that. So yeah, sorry for that too. So yeah, that's my experience with crystal ball scrying. There are tons of other methods to scry, and I do believe that maybe I don't know, I'm doing this in a week advance, so I don't know. Hopefully other people will take on different subjects and different elements, maybe. Like maybe we'll have someone, I don't know, I'm not going to predict anything. I'm just going to see what happens. So, hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below in the comment section. If you guys want me to go more in depth on crystal ball scrying and not just show you the crystal balls and talk my crystal balls and talk about them and go step by step into how I do it instead of kind of like a brief overlap or a brief overview, I can do that. Just let me know, and I will I can make a video on my personal channel or a sub video on here. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and until next week, many blessings.